So we just set out on the Boulder Mail Trail. We are starting the hike in Boulder and heading down to Escalante, Utah. It is about a 15-mile hike, point to point. A lot of people backpack this, but we decided we're just going to do a point-to-point hike. So we came down last night, set up camp near the trailhead, then drove my car down to the other trailhead in Escalante, dropped it off, came back up here, and now we're on the trail.
The Boulder Mail Trail is a challenging and remote hike located in Grand Staircase-Escalante National Monument in southern Utah. This is definitely not a trail for beginners. It requires route finding experience, logistical planning, and ideally some familiarity with desert hiking because the trail takes you through some pretty unforgiving terrain. Regardless of the direction that you hike, you're going to have rolling elevation gain and loss throughout the trail, including some steep climbs in and out of canyons.
A lot of breath right now, but just came from over there. Hiked down into the creek and just climbed back up the slick rock. Currently on a very sandy section of the trail, hiking through the PJ forest on our way to our next little slick rock drop.
My husband and I come down to the Escalante area to hike every spring. In fact, we got engaged down here a few years ago, and the Boulder Mail Trail has been on our bucket list for years.
You can see a little string for an old telegraph line right here. Try to get a little closer. Hopefully you can see it.
This was a route that was used by local indigenous groups for centuries, but as its name suggests, in more recent history, the Boulder Mail Trail was used to transport mail via mule between Boulder and Escalante before the bridge over Hell's Backbone was completed nearby. And let me just say, the terrain was tough enough on foot that I can't even imagine bringing a mule out here. I guess that's one of many reasons I'm not a cowgirl. As I mentioned earlier, route finding skills are absolutely a must on this trail, in addition to carrying a map. I was a little nervous about navigating the slick rock sections of the trail because there are so many nooks and crannies, but there are plenty of cairns to help navigate the way. Besides the telegraph wire and cairns, there really aren't any signs of human impact out here, which is why it is so incredibly important to practice leave no trace and make sure that you're packing everything out that you bring in with you. This includes human waste, which doesn't break down out here, which is why you should carry a wag bag even if you're just out for a day hike. Now, the scariest part of the hike was definitely the drop down into Death Hollow. The trail is fairly steep and exposed along this section of the trail, so don't be afraid to take things slowly. We hiked the trail in mid-April, not long after a storm, and there was plenty of water along the entire trail, but that's not always the case. Make sure to look at recent trip reports to try to get up-to-date conditions.
I think you're just gonna get wet.
I'm just gonna get wet?
Unless you're willing to make that jump.
The star of the Boulder Mail Trail is without a doubt Death Hollow, and there was really no way to avoid getting our feet wet down here. This trail barely scratches the surface of Death Hollow, so that's why a lot of people typically opt to backpack and explore more. In addition to Death Hollow, you also pass Sand Creek and Mammy Creek on the way. I'm going to be really honest, this was a very tough hike, and I made a huge mistake not bringing along hiking poles. My knees and foot were really hurting at the end. I definitely faded fast on the second half of the hike, which is why I don't have a lot of footage of this section of the trail. But ultimately, we finished strong and were able to make an early dinner reservation at Hell's Backbone Grill in Boulder. Thanks for coming along with me on the Boulder Mail Trail, and be sure to subscribe for more outdoor adventures out west.